become in every situation?
Overstimulating their mind, overstimulating their day. Did you really have to work harder? Or was that your perception that you had to work harder?
I like this conversation.
Yes. All you out there, you're like in shitty relationships, just leave, go. They're not hitting balls 6-7 hours a day. They're not doing this, they're not doing that, but yet, wow, they can go out and just get in it and win a tournament.
Why would you aim for second place?
Growth of an athlete, how an athlete should think or be thinking, how to self-manage yourself emotionally.
Who wants second place when you can have first?
Now you're slipping.
That's just stupid in my opinion. And that is exactly what I say in my book, Fuck It. I really love the work that you're doing online. It is very inspiring and motivating to college students.
I feel stuck, like no progress. What do I do?
Stuck. Stuck is a perception based on a condition that you just don't like right now. So I want you to make a 20-second highlight reel of all your great moments, whatever your sport is. Review it every day, multiple times a day for the next week. And guess what? Now you're unstuck.
Tell us a little bit more about what you do.
Well, I started from my professional aspect, when I played golf back in the day, I struggled immensely on the mental aspect of golf. Physically, no issues, but I always struggled in competition. I always struggled in practice. I would do fantastic, and then during competition, it was always a struggle. So I started working with a few sports psychologists. This was back in the day, and was fortunate to really sink myself into the whole growth of an athlete, how an athlete should think or be thinking, how to self-manage yourself emotionally. And over my career, I just dove into it more so than I actually dove into the physical aspect of golf. And my career just went full circle and took me around to where I am now. Now I'm taking all the things I learned back then and over the last 20 years of studying sports psychology and different avenues of emotional self-management, perception, and kind of devise my own theory and how I deliver it and how I teach it, and that's what I'm doing.
You were a professional golfer.
Yes.
How old were you when you started golf?
I started playing golf when I was 9. Yeah, I started playing golf when I was 9. My dad introduced me to the game. He was a weekend hacker, and I knew when I first picked up a club, that's what I wanted to do. I just knew it. You just know. And when you know, you know. And that's when I started.
So you were 9 years old and you started professionally at what age?
I turned pro at 22.
Wow.
Yeah, I turned pro at 22.
So over 10 years it took you to become pro.
Well, when you grow up in any sport, you grow up in the junior leagues, and then I played on the AJGA, which was all over the United States. It's a traveling tour for young aspiring golfers. And then from there you go to other various amateur tours, and then you can either make the jump, go through college and play college golf, or make a jump and turn pro and then start playing on some of the smaller tours and then the bigger tours.
I think that is really interesting that it took you over a decade to become pro, because you can also relate that to any other industry. For example, I was a competitive figure skater and I started at 3 years old. Sure. And anyone who becomes a competitive figure skater, it takes over 10 years to really make it to have a chance to get to go to the Olympics. I skated with Sarah Hughes. She was a bit older than me. And I remember that her mom would always bring her to different rinks all around New York, specifically Long Island, and Syosset, Kenneac. And I always looked at her in awe because she was skating a few times a day. And I told my mom, how come I don't skate a few times a day? And my mom said, well, she's on her way to go to the Olympics. And I said, well, why am I not on that journey? And she said, well, once you pass 10 years old and you've been doing this from 3 and you haven't made it to a specific level, your chances are very slim. You're probably not going to make it. So from that moment, I knew that if you have a goal of being a star, professional, competitive, huge athlete, you have to have your 10 plus year game, all your ducks in a row, and know your end goal from day one. And it's very important to figure it out quickly. I want to hear about your plan. Did you know when you were 9 years old that you wanted to be competitive?
I don't know that I knew that I want to be competitive, but I knew that I think the game found me kind of in a way. Okay. I knew that that was my love. I was into music. I played drums. I played guitar. I was always doing something artistic. Okay. Growing up as a child, my mom was an artist. My uncle was an acclaimed artist. So there's always some sort of art form. And I think golf for me was kind of an art form because you would manufacture shots. And it was solo. I'm on my own. So I enjoyed the non-team aspect of it. I was an introverted kid. So it was one of those things I was able to really sink my teeth into it. What I put into it was what I got out of it. I would see my progress day to day. I could judge that. No one else could really judge my progress but me.
I really agree with that. And that's why I excelled in ice skating, because I was solo. I always found that whenever I did a group sport, for example, I tried to do soccer and basketball in Greek school, and it never worked out. I find that when people are not on my level of ambition, they drag you down. And doing a solo sport really helped me on so many levels. It helped me be very driven and goal-oriented. I knew that I had a goal to win this competition. So I would practice all year long, before school, after school, to make sure that I got shit done and I got all my jumps done. I had my routine down. And there's a lot of skaters, and not just skaters, there's a lot of people who wait closer to the competition day to start practicing. But those are the people who don't win first place. And I don't like working towards a goal and not aiming for the best. If you're going to work hard at something, why would you aim for second place? Who wants second place when you can have first? That's just stupid, in my opinion.
Well, yes, I think there's some validity to that. Absolutely. I mean, you go into something, you're going to compete, you compete to win, 100%. But it was interesting, as I was moving up in the ranks, I was a very hard worker. I put in the time. I did the things that needed to be done to become a good ball striker, to play, to do all the things to succeed as a golfer. But what really bugged me was when I was out touring, or when I was even younger, you would play with guys who didn't put the effort in, but yet they were able to go out and win a tournament or excel. So I would wonder to myself, how are they doing this? They're not hitting balls 6-7 hours a day. They're not doing this. They're not doing that. But yet, wow, they can go out and just get in it and win a tournament. So that intrigued me. Like, why is that? How is he able to do that? When you have guys that will be practicing day in, day out, putting the hours in, but yet fall short of winning tournaments. So that really intrigued me. And we can go into that, but that's definitely something that spurred me more, pushed me even further to understand how the mind works.
That really intrigued me, because I noticed that with my own self, growing up, no matter what I did, I would always have to work harder than the next person. It always came easier to other people, whether it's studying, even the ice skating. I'd always have to work harder.
But did you? Really? That's where we'll get into it.
Ooh.
Did you really have to work harder? Or was that your perception that you had to work harder?
Oh.
In anything.
I like this conversation.
Yes.
Can you tell?
Yes, that's the whole point.
Okay, so tell me more.
Perception. It's a perception, okay? When we're raised as little kids, we're told what to do. We're told what to believe, okay? And a belief is just a thought you've thought so many times in your life that's become a belief. So when you're told certain things over and over and over as a child, well, what happens? You believe that. You believe that you have to work so hard to get what you want. And you have to do this, and you've got to do this. And the I gotta syndrome. You got to do all this stuff. Well, do you? And I realized that being a younger athlete, seeing guys that would put a certain amount of time into their sport. And then I called it the achieve and leave theory. You achieve what you need to do, and then you leave. So when I started working with athletes, I started realizing some athletes were putting so much work in that they were overstimulating their mind, overstimulating their day, okay, and really they were measuring themselves to an idea that they had, what they thought they had to do. That had this huge ideal. I want to become this. So to become that Because what I've been told, I have to put hours upon hours upon hours into my sport. And you can apply this to anything. Really apply it to any type of work that you do. And I'm not going to accomplish that if I don't put these hours in. But yet, there's people putting in 2 hours of work a day, 4 hours of work a day, 6 hours of work a day, 10 hours of work a day, and they're very successful.
So it all comes down to mindset. If you tell yourself, I only have 3 hours to finish this, you're going to get it done in those 3 hours.
Right.
And I guess that is definitely something that I have done in my life, because just like they say, who says this? Warren Buffett, maybe? If you have 30 days to clean your house, it's going to take you 30 days to clean your house. If you say it's going to take you 24 hours, you're going to do it in 24 hours.
Right.
I'll give you a quick example. So I recently broke up with my boyfriend, and we were living together for a little bit.
Okay.
And I made the decision to leave. Something happened, don't want to get into it. And I moved all of my things out in an hour and a half. My whole entire apartment, an hour and a half. My friend put all of my stuff in her apartment.
Right.
And then she gave me a bit of an ultimatum. She's like, all this stuff has to be out. I cannot have this in my house. I'm like, oh God. I'm like, now I need to figure out a way. So she's like, you got to put all your stuff in storage. Like, I'm not putting myself in storage and then moving it back into the same building, because I wasn't going to leave the building. So everyone's giving me all these ultimatums all around me. And I'm like, no, I'm going to get an apartment here in one day. They're like, it's impossible. You cannot get an apartment in one day. I have 24 hours to move my things out of this girl's apartment and move it into another apartment. I got another apartment in under 24 hours.
Right.
I removed my name from phone bills and everything. I did everything in 24 hours.
Sure.
When I am put under pressure and given a deadline, I have no choice but to complete my goal, no matter what it is in life. And it's not just with that. If I have anything that's going on, I make sure to do it. And I really like that perspective and that mindset that you brought up, because that's the way to succeed. You give yourself a deadline.
Yeah, it's an exigent circumstance. And some people function well there and some people don't. Some people need the time. And it's different for everybody. It really is. And in today's day and age with social media and everyone's telling everybody how to be successful, and half the people that are telling people how to be successful aren't successful. They're just a bunch of bullshit. It's different for it's like losing weight. Losing weight or getting in shape is different for everybody. Dropping weight isn't the same formula for everyone. It's not the same diet plan. It's not. Everyone's body is different. Everyone's day is different. Everyone's thinking is different. So it's not kind of a cookie cutter formula necessarily. So with the way it works with what I do, I really got to get to know who the person is and what their background is and how they think and what their belief system is. Okay, but if you have that belief system and you believe that I've got to do this and I've got to do that and I've got to do this, and you're seeing and you're feeling emotionally, you are feeling content while doing this, and you know you're doing the right things because there's an emotional connection between all of it, then that's great. But maybe there is a different way of doing it for you.
So you coach athletes, and you only choose to coach athletes that you feel are ready to take the next step in their career.
Yeah.
How do you determine if they're ready or they're not ready?
Well, it's been through trial and error over the years. So I used to take on a handful of guys or girls, and we would go through the motions and we would have the talks, and then you can see as we would have more talks or have conversations where they were kind of on an emotional scale. Okay, I judge a lot by an emotional scale because emotions are everything. We're emotional beings. We are. Yeah. Everything's run on emotion. Yeah. A thought, an emotion. We have an emotion, we have a thought. So it's a kind of a weeding out process over the years, it has been. And I can pretty much grasp pretty quickly if someone's going to tune in to kind of, not to get like woo-woo, but tune into my frequency and how I teach. Because it's not a what should I say, a mainstream way of teaching. It's a different perspective completely. And a lot of athletes are in fear of that. But yet most athletes, because we're all a little weird, we're all a little crazy, understand, because we have these rituals and we have all these things, and we do this, we do that, we wear the same socks, we have the same penny, we do this, we have these rituals, but they're our belief system, and it connects to an emotion within us that gives us confidence. Nothing wrong with that. If that gives you confidence, then do it. So all these athletes have that in them, they're doing it, but some just aren't receptive yet. And in time, they either are, or what I say either resonates or it doesn't. And that's fine. So over time, I've kind of just decided, okay, people I'm going to work with, athletes I'm going to work with, there's going to be a probation period. You know, and it's not one of those things where it's, okay, I'm not working with you anymore. Not at all, because I want people to thrive. And I believe everybody should expect the best out of themselves. But most don't. Most do not. Most really don't expect out of themselves.
So what do you do with your athletes that really transitions them to the next level of their career?
I really get them in touch with their emotions and understanding each minute of the day where they are on an emotional scale, how they're thinking, how they're responding, how they're reacting throughout their day.
I think it's really beautiful that these athletes are able to have a coach like you in their life, because kids need help more than anyone else because they're so vulnerable. There's adults who are vulnerable to all this negativity and all this, in Greek we're going to say malakias, which is dumb shit that people...
Malakias?
Malakias. Bravo.
Okay, good.
And people are so quick to judge others, and when they hear that judgment that gets passed by them, they believe it. Someone can easily say, even if it's their own family, you're not worth anything. You're never going to amount to that. You think you want to be an athlete, it'll never happen. But then when there's a coach like you that comes along, you are their burst of inspiration. You are the only light in their life. Not for everyone, of course, but I really admire coaches because they help you, guide you. And you specifically, I haven't heard of before, is a mindset coach that helps these athletes. And that is what they need more than anything else, is mindset. Because once you fix your mindset, then everything else will fall into place.
Right. And there's a plethora of sports psychologists out there that are working with top athletes, professional athletes. When I grew up back in the day, it was kind of taboo because no one wanted to admit they're talking to some therapist about whatever. But now, I mean, they're on staff with baseball teams and football teams, and it's in the norm. But with that being said, I kind of take a different route. I don't do a lot of psychological mumbo jumbo. It's more, what's the relationship you have with you, and how are the conditions throughout your day affecting you? Are you conditional? Because most people are conditional. When something's going good, they're happy. When something's not going good, they're sad.
You know what? That brings up a moment for me. When I was skating, I saw a lot of moms who would bring their kids to the competition, and the moms were so chaotic.
We're nuts.
Frazzled.
Yeah, it's a baseball parent.
Psychotic.
Same thing. Oh, yeah.
And they're running around like, hey, I gotta get Nikki in here before. And I'm like, oh my God. And then you have me and my mom. My mom's in the corner with me. You're the best. You're gonna win this competition. There's nobody better than my Athena. You're gonna crush it out there. I love you. And then she'd kiss me and hug me. And then she'd put me in a separate room from everyone else where I wasn't allowed to look at anybody.
Okay.
I had to be completely alone, do my little exercises, and I was calm and very happy. She did my hair, and then I had my Russian coach come in, and he would prep me, and we would do off-ice training. And then when it was time to go out on the ice, I would walk my way onto the ice, and I didn't see my competition, and I was ready, and I always thrived.
Sure.
And I did my best performance, even better than my practices. Always. And my mom always joked with me. She's like, I don't know what the hell happens, but you're not very good on your practice sessions. She's like, but you're goddamn great.
That's why they're called practice sessions, right? That's where you're supposed to mess up, right?
I know.
Yeah.
But it's funny because when I finished, I felt so relaxed and happy, and I always gave my best. But that was because of the background that I had right before that. My mom encouraging me. It was all the energy that I was surrounded by. But then I walked by my competition after I was done. The parents are slapping and screaming the kids.
Oh, yeah.
And saying, you wasted my money, you fucked up. And they're cursing at their kids. They're like, you fell down. How could you waste all my money, all these lessons? And the kids are literally throwing up. The kids are a mess. It's all how you project your own self onto your kids. And
well, that's where it starts. Like you said, how did you feel after? Relaxed and happy. So how can one, in a chaotic situation, maintain a sense of well-being? That's the key. And that's kind of what I teach, is how can you, in a chaotic situation, maintain well-being? That type of practice is outside the sport. It's got nothing to do with the sport.
Now, is that something that they practice over time, or is it a one breathing exercise? Tell us more about that.
No, it's checking yourself now. That's what it is. Because our minds are so fast. We're constantly going. Constantly going. Have you ever tried to meditate?
I do try to meditate. And
do you meditate?
I do.
Are you successful with it?
I am, when all the negativity in my life is removed. Otherwise, it is like...
Okay, so why can't you do it when there's negativity?
Oof, should I even get into this?
Well, but your mind's fast.
Yes.
So when there's negativity, so it's conditional. Based on the conditions, like we're saying, based on the conditions, this condition is good, therefore I can do the things I want to do. I can perform great, I can be happy, I can live my life because conditions are good.
It's so crazy. It's like you have to leave things that you love so that you can be happy.
Look, you have the most important thing is, and this is kind of the same thing I do, is that call it your intuition, call it God, call it the universe, source, whatever you want to put your name onto it. You know when you're in a good position or a negative position, a positive position or a negative position. We know. Our bodies tell look, we have the physical, we have two parts of us, the physical and the non-physical. That's a fact. This is our physical. What we do physically, we lift weights, we go to work, we drive our car. That's all physical. Our bodies are just working, being physical. But we have the non-physical. And where's that? That's our heart and our mind working together. So when you're connected to your true inner source, your inner being, your intuition, whatever you want to call it, it's always guiding you in the right area. It's telling you what you need to do. It's always guiding you. You always know what's best for you. Always. In anything you've ever done, think of this. In anything you've ever done, you've had those moments when you were, gosh, I knew I should have done that. Damn it, I was telling myself I should have done that. I didn't do it, and look what happened. But you knew. But then you got in your way. Then a conscious thought or a thought, whatever thought, curved you into a different direction. And you did something different. But when your inner soul is telling you, let's not do that. That's probably happened to you many times, right?
All the time.
Everybody. Happens to everybody. So it's getting to the point where you're truly listening to you and trusting that. And that's everyday work. That's from the minute you wake up in the morning. And it's not being neurotic about it, but it's just paying attention. Okay, how am I feeling right now? Why am I feeling like shit? Why am I angry? What's going on? And then finding something to bring you back on the scale. That years ago there was a woman, Esther Hicks. I don't know if you know who that is, but she was a spiritual woman. Did a lot of stuff on the art of receiving and inner body work and all this stuff. And they devised this scale called the emotional scale, which I've used for years. And on the top of the scale over here on this side would be confidence, positivity, optimism, all that, hopeful, all the good stuff. And then as it worked down the scale, it comes down to hopelessness, defeatist, resentment, anger, depression. And you have the scale, right? So where are you? It's maintaining and paying attention where you are on that scale. So for an athlete or for someone in business or whatever, and they're in competition and things are rolling, they're doing great, and then the conditions change, does that condition change where you are at on the emotional scale? And if it changes where you're at on this emotional scale and you identify with it, now momentum will take over in whatever direction you're going. So if it's positive and things are going great and you're feeling it and the flow is there, like we've all had in sports or business, wow, things are just going great. It's momentum, right? You feel great inside. But then a condition happens right away and you're like, fuck, I thought I was gonna get that job, an actress, or whatever. I thought I was gonna get that job, I didn't get it. Now you're slipping. Now you're slipping down the emotional scale. You identify with it, then what happens? Momentum takes you this way, right? Now you're down here depressed. And what most people will say is, just think a happy thought. Oh, yeah, rainbows and unicorns. No, because you can't jump from depressed all the way back over here. So you have to work yourself back piece by piece. And that can just take a day. It can take a few hours, but you work yourself back. Okay, I'm depressed. Let me get to anger. Okay, yeah, this pisses me off. I didn't get it. Fine. Yeah, I'm a little resentful now. Okay, now I'm moving up. I'm a little resentful now. Okay, you know what? But you know what? Another job is going to come around. It's going to be okay. Oh, now we jump to hopeful. We really made a good headway there. Things work out for me. Things are going to go great. I'm going to be fine. Now we're working back. Then see how we're working back slowly on this emotional scale. So that's a day-to-day practice that must be done. So what most people will do is they will give, let's just say, they'll put 90% of their effort to 10% of their sport. They will put 90% effort to 10% of their business or whatever they're doing. When the majority of what we're doing, okay, so you're putting 90% to 10%. Let's put 90% to the big chunk of the sport, which is between the ears and your heart and self-management. Because once you have those self-management skills, once you know how to manage your emotions, well, the physical aspect of it is a piece of cake. The hard work isn't even hard anymore at that point because you've got it emotionally.
Can we practice right now with me?
Sure. We can practice.
Okay. So let's say I'm your client.
Okay. If you were a client of mine, well, tell me about your day. How was your day? What'd you do today? Actually, yes. What happened last night? What'd you do last night?
Okay. So last night was super hectic because
Hectic. Oh, that's a great word. Why are we saying hectic?
So it was hectic.
Where is that on the emotional line?
It was about an 8. It was pretty hectic. You don't know. When I have a goal, I will move mountains to make sure it happens. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to make sure that I had this set ready today, Sunday, and I had about 2 days to do it. Okay. I could have just relaxed and done it nice and easy and taken my sweet time. Mm-hmm. I don't believe in that. Mm-hmm. Tomorrow's not guaranteed. Mm-hmm. I want this set ready in 2 days, and it's got to be fucking ready. Okay. So I went to the store. And I have my wonderful producer, Johnny the fucking best. He's going to be real big one day. Okay. You're going to see on fucking movie sets, baby. Yes. Anyway, so I was like, I want Johnny's creative eye and his vision to come in here and be able to place things and make the set. So I went into Hobby Lobby. And I basically bought $3,000 worth of Hobby Lobby, charged that shit on my credit card.
You're stressing out. You gotta get it done,
I put it all in my car, and I was like, pack it all up. There was like 6 shopping carts, all in my car. Come here, and then we have it. We fix the set, but then now everything needs to go back. So I asked a TaskRabbit to help me, wasn't busy, asked someone else, and so I had someone else to come help me, but it was still very hectic because now imagine we have to go drive there because they're closing now because it's late at night. So it was a lot, but we got it done. We returned it, Now,
you don't think you could have gotten that all done while not having so much resistance going on? There's a lot of resistance there. A lot of resistance happening. I gotta get this done. I gotta get that done. I've gotta get there on time. I gotta get the set. I gotta do this. I gotta do that. A lot of resistance, a lot of stress. So you don't think you could have gotten any of that done while just being, okay, we'll get it done. We're gonna get this done. Everything always works out. We're gonna get this done. Just knowing who you are, you're gonna get it done, right? So why are we freaking out? Why are we responding to the hectic nature of it?
Yeah, you're right. And I think a lot of it comes down to also past history as well. And we're all victims of this. And we don't even realize that past experiences will be in the back of our mind. And that'll be a reason why we're freaking out, or a reason why our relationships don't work out with someone else, or friendships or something, because of past experiences.
Okay, well, past experience we can do it with anybody. You can take an athlete. Let's take an athlete. Well, I'll use that example. Past experience. I work with a lot of pitchers. And when things are going well, things are going well. they're not really thinking of their goals. They're not really thinking of things they need to do. They're not planning really because things are going well. So they're in a frame of mind where things are going well. I feel good. And then they have a bad outing. One outing can do it, where they go out, they have a bad outing, and then they pick up the phone and they go, I suck. I cannot believe. I remember this happened to me 6 months ago, and I went down a tunnel and I went into a slump, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, wait a minute. 6 months ago does not exist today. That's a perception. The past does not exist. It doesn't. You can't go there. Neither does the future. It doesn't exist. But what generally happens is you fail at something, the condition puts you in an emotional state, and then you think about where you're trying to get to and your goals and what's not happening. What's not happening, and then you look at what is happening. You're looking at the what is. Oh my God, look what's happening. This is not right. This is horrible. But yet 2 days ago, emotionally you were fine because the what is was great. So it's learning how to identify conditions that are bumping you around on this emotional scale. That's why everyone's so angry right now. Look at people. They're freaking nuts because there's no emotional management whatsoever.
I think people need to also stop when they're very frazzled and just take a deep breath and just calm the fuck down, bro.
Well, yeah, when it comes to certain things, yes. But when you're talking about becoming, you have goals and aspirations and you're really pursuing something, you put a lot of pressure on yourself.
Yes.
It's a lot of resistance. That's what everybody does.
Yes.
So
yes,
when you have that ideal of what you want, this picture in your mind of this magnificent thing, which generally we're not going to catch anyways, because once we get there, then it's something else. We're never going to get where we want to get to, ever. Successful people never get to where they want to get to, because once they get there, it's in their makeup. They want more.
Well, yes.
They want something else.
So they do get there.
They never get there.
Well, I think they get there, but then they change their mind and then want something else and more.
Let's put it this way. I worked with a group of athletes up at a college and reminded them, and that their jaws kind of dropped because we're sitting there talking about, I go, guys, look where you're at. You're at this magnificent school, playing baseball. And just last year, you were in high school trying to get here. And all you are sitting here now freaking out that you're not going to get drafted. Wait a minute. You just got here. Let's be here. Let's enjoy here. Let's relish here. I'm not saying sit back and do nothing, but there's got to be a sense of satisfaction where you're at. You have to have that.
Well, you have two types of people. You have the people who are never satisfied, and then you have the people who just sit down and think that abundance and success is going to fall in their lap.
Right.
So there needs to be some type of equal median.
Right, and there is. And there is.
Yes.
Would you rather, as hard as you work, would you rather feel good or feel like shit?
Feel good, baby.
There you go. There you go. So how can you do that? You check yourself. You check yourself. Because things, so much more will come to you when you're feeling good.
How often should you check yourself?
Often.
Like how often? Once a day? Once a week? Once a month?
I check myself constantly. Depends on the day. Depends on my emotional state. Okay. If I notice that I am thinking a lot, my mind's turning on something that I'm worrying about, I say, whoa, stop for a second, take a couple deep breaths. And literally, I've gotten to a point where you think of something that just makes you feel good. It's not thinking really a good thought. It's thinking of something that gives you a feeling inside of like feeling good, whatever that may be. It could be your animals. It could be family. It could be a time you went on a trip somewhere. Whatever that is that makes you just feel good. Now, it sounds weird. People are like, what are you doing? I'm just going to think of something. No, I'm going to feel good. Yeah, because you do that enough that the negativity, the resistance that comes when you're confronted with things starts to subside and subsides and it subsides.
Everything is a battle that you're facing when you are dealing with goals that are very large. For example, I have super large goals.
Large. What does large mean?
I want to be the most sought out actress in the world.
Okay.
And that's a huge goal. I dealt with a lot of negativity with people that were very close to me who didn't believe in me.
Right.
And I believe in myself. I don't need anyone to believe in me. But I came out here to LA and I really expected high expectations of myself.
Well, here we go.
Exactly.
Okay.
So first year in LA, I had a goal of getting a lead in a big movie and accomplishing that goal within my first year.
Sure.
I know that that's very difficult, but I also know that anything is possible. I believe in that 0.00001% chance that it can come true as long as you believe and you work towards those goals every day. Now, it did not believe that I will be the most sought out actress in the world. Not in 1 year. I know that that's going to take time, but I also, I believe, that's going to take time. Of course, that's years worth of hard work, years and years.
But the interesting thing is this: once you can detach from the resistance we put on ourselves by really connecting with the emotional part of you and really understanding perceiving things differently, it's amazing. Things will happen and you'll be like, damn, that shit that happened so fast. I wasn't expecting that. Whoa, what do I do now? Okay,
yes.
That will happen because we've dropped the resistance. We've dropped that resistance.
Well, I think when we put so much pressure to achieve the goal, that also has a negative effect as well, where I have to do this. And you become almost obsessive. For example, I was trying to lose weight and I became so obsessive. I need to lose 10 pounds. I need to lose it.
There it is.
I ended up gaining more.
Well, of course.
It's just insane.
Of course, because where did you put yourself? At that point, when you focus on, a lot of times you focus on what you want so badly because of what you don't want. Okay, and you have to differentiate that. A lot of people will focus on what they really want in life because they really don't want what they have. So the more you focus on what you want, you're really just saying to yourself, fuck, I don't want this shit. And you keep telling yourself what you don't want. And you think you're telling yourself what you want, but what you're telling your subconscious and your soul is what you really don't want.
So what's the solution?
So the solution is to understand that. It's really understand, am I saying I want this because I don't want what I have? Or am I saying I want this because, you know what, I'm satisfied with what I have right now. I'm good where I'm at right now. But man, I expect that.
All right.
That's a different perception.
So then if somebody wants to drop a lot of weight quickly
Yes.
for a certain goal, what should they do?
Okay, well, let's talk about weight. That's perfect. Okay, somebody wants to drop 20 pounds. Okay, great. Forget the fucking 20 pounds. It's not about dropping 20 pounds. It's about dropping 2 pounds this week. It's not about, God, I gotta drop 2 pounds, 20 pounds. I gotta drop 20 pounds. No, you don't have to drop 20 pounds. This week, you have to drop 2 pounds.
Set small goals and lower your expectations for the current week and then slowly work up towards that.
I think you can set as many goals as you want. I think goals are great. But I think some of the major goals need to be more general, just general goal. I want to be the most sought after actress in Hollywood. Okay, general. You know that. You do know that, right? Mm-hmm. That's what you want.
Yes.
Okay. So you don't have to think about it. You don't have to. It's already there. It's already here. You don't have to think about that. Now you can say, okay, we're backwards a little bit. What emotional state do I need to be in to be successful? Frantic, panicked, worry. I ain't gonna help you.
That's the problem where so many of us suffer, is that we're always overthinking things. And I was very disappointed with myself the first year. Hear me out. I had big goals. I said, the one goal I have this year is to be a series regular on a major hit TV show. Okay. I got so many good auditions. And I'm very proud of myself when I evaluate it. But in those moments, I was very upset that I didn't book a series regular, not even a co-star. And I was very, very upset. I was like, it's my first. Why were you
upset?
So I have higher expectations because I know my capabilities. Okay. But when I took a step back and I said, wait a minute, I need to be proud of what I have accomplished this year. So I took out a journal and I wrote down all of my accomplishments this 1 year.
Good for you.
And when I looked at it, I was like, oh.
You have to, the issue is with most athletes or people in general, they will measure their success based on the future ideal they want. This imagined finish line that we're never going to get to. You can't measure to the future. So what you're saying is fantastic because you want to measure to what you were yesterday, last week, last month, last year. And you have so many successes, so many that people will just not pay attention to. And when you review that, like you're saying, and you see all the great things you've done in the last year, because everybody, I don't care who you are, have done some great shit this last year. With everything that's gone on in this country, whatever, blah, 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 you've done some great stuff. There's not one person I can walk up to right now and say, what's something great you've done in the last year? They're not going to say, what they'll say is, I ain't done shit, my life sucks. And then I would say, okay, well, hypothetically, what's something great? Well, I actually helped my dad build a house. Oh, okay. Well, great. Okay, what else? And they will start talking and talking and talking.
Well, we don't realize how much we've done.
Because everyone's paying attention to there. We've got to get there.
Yes.
We've got to go there.
Yes.
I'm not there. You're supposed to be there. And a big part of that social media, and people are watching people, quote, that are ultra successful. Are they really? Who knows? And that's what it does. Yeah. It brainwashes people to believe that they're just not where they should be. They should be further in life.
Well, let's fix this. So I think that everyone needs to take out a piece of paper and frequently assess what they've done, maybe every 6 months or at least every year. And for me, when I wrote down everything, I was blown away by the amount of things that I've done, and also really sad that I was so upset for not booking a series regular role, because what I realized is I'm like, okay,
some things just aren't in your control too.
True.
Some things are just not
correct
under your control.
Yes.
Yeah.
So some of the things that I wrote on the list was I wrote 3 screenplays, which is huge. And I'm like, because for me, I have so many things that I'm capable of that I think, oh, that was nothing for me. That was easy. Was easy,
There you go.
But
yeah.
People don't even finish their screenplays. Mm-hmm. I finished 3 screenplays. I wrote a whole book. I went on nonstop auditions. I had 163 auditions, and they weren't for shit roles. They were for good roles. Mm-hmm. I had big name casting directors keep calling me into their office. Now, I was upset that I didn't book anything and nothing went forward, but 2022 for me was the year to set up the pigeons, set up the birds, mm-hmm. right? I set them all up, all my ducks in a row. Good. So now 2023 is the year that all the 2022 little birdies are going to come out and fly.
So let me ask you something. What is your pre-plan system if nothing happens?
Oh, shit, don't go there.
I'm going there.
Oh, no.
I am going there. Because you need to have a pre-planned emotional system.
Oof.
You have to.
No. I have a goal. This is happening.
Okay, but see, here's I'm not saying it's not happening. But it's when I was a police officer, and I'm going into a house with a barricade suspect, and he's got a gun. Do we just walk in? Walk in. Hey, hello, hey, where are you? No. Got a plan. How are we going to handle this if this happens? How am I going to handle this if this happens? How are we going to handle this if this happens? Okay? So it's not that I'm saying this is a negative thing. Oh, just think positive. No, and I'm not saying to you that by thinking this way, you are discounting your goals or what you will accomplish. But what I am saying to you, when you know how you're going to handle something, if that comes along, you are that much more prepared emotionally. Myself, okay? I'm a single guy. If I get into a relationship and things go sideways and she's not trustworthy or something, I already know how I'm going to handle myself. I'm so far ahead of that. As an older guy now, I know how to handle things. I know how to handle that. Whereas I have a pre-planned emotional system in place with lots of things in business, my relationships, handling my children, friends.
I do like that, and I do like the idea of having that in place. However, I also love my man Arnold, who says, do not have a plan B, only
That's not
have a plan
B.
A.
This is not a plan B. This is not a plan B. You're misunderstanding. I agree. I did say that. And I agree with that. I agree with that. You don't need. I'm not saying have a plan B. I'm saying how are you going to handle these situations emotionally? How are you going to respond to them opposed to react to them? Because you're going to be confronted with that again.
So my old
How
self.
are you going to respond to this?
So rest in peace to the old Athena back in New York, who would freak the fuck out anytime anyone came in my way. Like I would just I remember I got stopped once by a police officer, and I'm like, the fuck, I don't do anything wrong. Why'd I get stopped? They're like, you ran the stop sign. I'm like, what stop sign? I needed glasses though at the time. But anyway, Suffolk County was really difficult, but
the cops,
Queens cops are more chill. I don't know. Okay. Anyway, so I would freak the fuck out. And because everything around my life was difficult, my mom was dying, I was taking care of her, all these things are happening. I had a very bad abusive relationship. And now the police officer, he stops me. I was freaking the fuck out. My mom was sick in the passenger seat. She's like, please stop, please stop, please stop.
Look at what you're saying. All these conditions are getting thrown at you.
Exactly.
Thrown at you.
And how did I handle it? Very poorly. And my life was awful. It was atrocious.
Correct. Knowing what you know now, if these things were presented to you, how would you handle them now?
So now what I do is that helps very, very much in difficult, strenuous, stressful situations. I always talk to myself and anyone that's in my circle around me, in front of me at that very moment. It's okay. It's going to be fine. We're going to get this done. Everything's going to be fine. And then they keep throwing at me, how? And in my head, I want to be like, shut the fuck up and just be calm.
And it's generally, someone's going, how around me. Go, you know what? It would be a lot better if you weren't right here doing that.
Exactly.
How about that? Yeah.
So I don't like being pressured. When I'm pressured, I just remove the people from my life. But I also want to learn to get better at not just instantly removing, and maybe sometimes it's just a small conversation. Like, hey, listen, how you're approaching this right now is really affecting me, and I would really appreciate it if you stop.
So that's a condition.
Yes.
That's affecting. See where we're going here?
Yes.
I kind of led you this direction.
Tell me.
That's a condition that you have no control over, that you are identifying with on an emotional level that's affecting you. You're allowing that to happen. You're allowing it to make you feel a certain way. Okay, so what generally happens is as people start working, athletes I've worked with or people I've worked with, start working on this emotional scale and start really getting in touch with who they are and understanding how to be more easy on themselves. People, you don't really need to remove people from your life anymore. They're just not there anymore. And it's weird how that happens because you've elevated yourself to such a different area and you're so much more in control of yourself that you guys aren't in alignment anymore, these people with you. It's a whole new group of people that you start getting in alignment with that are kind of on the same frequency and the same plane. It's very strange that happens.
I completely agree because I've met so many people who were struggling and I would ask them, what are you struggling with? And they would say, well, I really love my friend, but this and that. And they're just telling me all these things that their friend makes them feel this way. And I'm like, why are you still their friend? They're like, because I love them. We've been through so much. And I'm like, and that's a beautiful thing. Yeah. You've been through all that during that time in your life, but in this next stage of your life, they're not there. And that's okay.
Yeah, and if we're talking about feelings, feelings and emotions, whose feelings are more important? Whose emotions are more important? Mine or this person's? Mine are more important. Sorry. That's what it comes down to.
It's so true. Your feelings are way more important for yourself. You need to be able to show up for yourself in order to show up for everyone else.
Well, that's why people stay in relationships so long. They don't leave when they know they need to leave a relationship. Oof. They know they got to leave. They spent time in it, and all they're thinking about is, I don't want to hurt this person. I don't want to hurt them. And it's all on their feelings. Their feelings and their well-being become so much more important than your own.
Well, let's talk about that.
Sure.
Because I was in a relationship for, I really thought I was going to marry him. I wanted to be with him. I wanted to have kids with him. Right. And I loved him with all my heart and all my soul.
Sure.
And I tried so hard to make it work. I even hired a therapist, and I've never done that before. I didn't even hire a therapist when my mom died.
Yeah.
But I wanted to make this work so bad because I love him so much. I still love him, you know?
Sure.
And it was so hard. But when I spoke to him about things and then we didn't see eye to eye, I'm like, this is not making me happy.
You're in a relationship, you're just not happy. It's gone on for 2-3 years, too long, and you're there. Well, you're at a point where you're putting that person's feelings and emotions on a higher pedestal than your own. And as long as you keep doing that, you're never going to leave that relationship.
Well, what I don't think is very fair is that here I am putting all my everything on the table. And then when I voice my opinion how I'm not happy, like, oh, sorry, that's your problem. You need to deal with it. Why can't you just be happy?
So what was he doing? He was putting his feelings more important than yours.
Correct. And
So he was doing what he needed to do for him.
yes. And that's okay. I can't be with you.
There you go. So now in your next relationship,
Oh God, no.
what is your
I'm
pre-emotional
done.
plan for that?
My pre-emotion plan is fuck you, and fuck you too.
but you're gonna fall in love again, and
No.
But when you do, wait a minute. When you do, because you will, and this is what I talk about, the pre-plan. It's not, and this isn't saying I'm jaded, I don't want men or women. It's none of that. It's okay. If I'm in a relationship and I find that I am putting this man or this woman's feelings and well-being above myself, I need to check myself. Now, why am I doing that?
How do you know when to check
You
yourself?
feel it. It's emotional. You knew. You felt it. You knew you wanted to go.
Man,
All you out there, you know you're like in shitty relationships. Just leave. Go. Stop. It's true. You know.
Deadass.
You know. You know.
I'm going to tell you something I've never done in my life. Whenever I was not happy, I would just leave. Like, okay, goodbye. You're gone out of my life. But because I loved him so much, I tried so hard where I even made a whole journal just about him. And I wrote down, when I'm not happy, read this book. And then I put in all the sweet things that he's ever done for me. So I kept trying to convince myself, no, you need to stay. You need to stay because look, he's done all these things. And then I wrote down, when did he do those things? Was it right now or was it 6 months ago? So then I narrowed it down to, what has he done this week to make me happy? What has he done today to make me happy?
But okay, so listen where you were emotionally then. What is he doing? What condition can he make for me so I'm happy? How can he make a condition for me so I can feel happy? See what I'm saying? That's where you were then. So you're expecting him to make a condition appropriate and pretty for you so you can be happy. And what I'm saying is here, I want you to be so connected with you that it doesn't matter what anybody does. It's not going to fuck with your well-being and your happiness. Your inner being or whatever you want, it's knocking on this door saying, hello, when are we going? When are we going? Let's do it. Hello, come on already. How much longer? It's nagging at you and nagging at you and nagging at you. And this will be the same thing that your intuition or whatever you want to call it, God, like I already said that, will nag at you and nag at you and nag at you. It will never let you be if you're not being true to yourself.
But Jason, there's also a problem here, because if the man is such a good man and he treats me really nicely, it's like it plays with your mind, because it's not like he was bad. He wasn't bad at all. He's treated me so nice.
Look, I've been in relationships, dated some great women, and I've been in some toxic shit too. Just because someone is a great person, treats you well, has these great qualities, doesn't mean you stay. If you're feeling you gotta go, and it's not necessarily a quick emotional decision from an argument, but it's nagging at you and nagging at you, and it's there, and it's building and it's building and it's building and it's building, and your intuition's telling you, gotta go, it's time to go. And then you say, but God, he's such a good guy, or such a good girl, and she's so nice.
I have
got to go.
I think when it comes to a point where you feel that you need to make a pros and cons list, you have your answer.
You're done.
I made that
You're
pros and
so
cons.
far past at that point because
Yeah.
you feel it and your body's telling you. It could be you meet somebody and there's just something off about that person. You're like, I just don't know. Well, listen to that stuff. That's what I'm kind of going at here with this scale and listening to yourself. It's very important because we get in our own ways. We start thinking objectively. We start bringing all these what ifs and the buts. And when you just narrow it down and simplify it, but nobody wants to be simple about things. People want to be miserable and they want to complain about everything. So,
Jason, I think to close this off, honestly, my next relationship.
There's so much more.
There is so much more.
It goes on forever, but.
My next relationship, who the fuck knows when? My next life, because at this point I'm done.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, whenever it is.
You don't even think about that. You're focused on what you're doing.
Yeah.
And pay attention to how you're feeling when you get up and what you're doing through the day. If someone's driving in front of you and they're pissing you off, pay attention to that. Why is this guy pissing me off? I'm just behind him. He's just minding his own business. That's a condition that's affecting you. It's the simplest of things.
So we need to change our mindset in order to...
Perception.
We need to change our perception so that we condition ourselves to be calm in every situation.
Yes, it's calm. It's a sense of just contentment. And at that point, you're unstoppable. Nothing will penetrate you.
And that is exactly what I say in my book, Fuck It. Learn the 7 commandments of the fuck it mentality and become unstoppable.
But I want you to say fuck it because you know how to manage. You know how to manage your emotions and and you're not conditional. You're not living a conditional life. You're living your life on your terms, how you want to. Yes.
Fuck
you
yeah.
create your own conditions. There you go.
Jason, thank you so much for coming out. This was wonderful having you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you all so much for watching. If you like this episode, make sure to check out this one right here. Catch you on the next one.